why should people be thinking about their legacy? Why should people right now be thinking like 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road for their kids, their grandkids, for future generations, and thinking about giving that way too?
Sure. I love all the paradoxes in the Bible. And I think culturally, we're told we need to have an inheritance for our kids. We need to leave inheritances for our grandkids. And if you read one of the Proverbs, it definitely says that. It leave a legacy to your kids and even your grandkids and your kids after your grandkids. And I think that's beautiful. But we have to start asking, what kind of legacy are we leaving? What kind of legacy? Is it monetarily? Is it spiritually? And I love asking this question. And I'm going to ask you as an example. So you probably didn't know I was going to put you on the spot. Do you know your parents' names, correct?
Yes, I know my parents' names. Yes.
Do you know your grandfather's name?
Yes.
What was his name?
Wendell.
Wendell. What about your great grandfather's name?
I can't recall it right now, but I was just asking my dad stories about his grandpa, right? And so, yeah.
Most people do not know their great grandfather's name. And if they do, I can assure you they don't know their great great grandfather's name.
Huh.
And I think this is a really important thing and it sounds harsh, but no one's going to remember you. No one's going to remember me either. They definitely won't remember me. But I want my legacy to be Jesus. And one of my favorite parables is Jesus actually uses an anti-hero, the shrewd money manager in Luke 16. And it's a really cool parable because Jesus uses an anti-hero as the person to point to. He says, most people use people to get money, but you should spend your life using money to get people for the gospel. And I think that's what our legacy should be, is Jesus. That's what I want people when I die. I want people to remember Jesus, and I think that's what I want them. That's the legacy I'm trying to leave behind to my great great grandchildren.
And it's really the path to true fulfillment. It really is that you can live a fulfilled life, but not in your own way. But it's in the reason God gave us His Word and He gave us these commands and these paths is because He's saying, "Let me show you the way to true joy, to true peace." And part of that is giving. Part of that is not building our lives on money, building our lives on Jesus. And so just last question for you, Andrew, and then anything else you want to share. But why is it so important to guard our hearts from greed? How can our listeners practically begin to guard their heart from greed? How do they know if they're greedy?
Ooh, those are some hard ones. I think some tips that have really helped me is be careful of those friendships that you have. I do not limit my friendships, but I limit the time I spend with certain friends. If you have friends that want to compare financially and everything's about how much more we can make and how much more net worth that we can accumulate, I would be careful, because here's what's going to happen. The thief of joy is comparison. And if we're continually comparing ourselves to the Joneses, to our friends, the Joneses, then we will live an unfulfilled life and we'll let greed go rampant through our life. And that would be a terrible thing, to have a sin like that is applauded by culture. I mean, workaholism is the only addiction I know that people applaud as people go deeper and deeper into that spiral. And then the other thing to break the hold of greed in your life, and I challenge you this, is every 6 months or every year, depending on your finances, I would increase your tithe by 1%. If you're giving 10%, why not 11? And if you do that, it breaks the holds of workaholism and greed that will again make you, it'll scratch that itch of trying to earn more to give more, to buy more. Instead, you'll be earning more to give more, which is great.